The world's oldest people never step foot in a gym. In fact, many of the health habits we've been told are essential for longevity are completely ignored by those who actually live past 100. Today, we're taking a journey to the blue zones, regions where centenarians thrive in remarkable numbers. We'll walk through sun-drenched village squares where the chatter of elders fills the air, and observe daily routines that contradict modern health wisdom. From their plant-heavy dinner tables to their tight-knit communities, these remarkable people follow ancient wisdom that produces extraordinary results. Their secrets aren't found in supplements or trendy diets, but in lifestyle patterns passed down through generations. The surprising truth about alcohol. Did you know that many 100-year-olds drink alcohol almost every day? I was surprised too when I first learned this. It seems to go against everything modern health experts tell us about living longer. Let's visit Sardinia, Italy, where people live incredibly long lives. Here we meet Giuseppe, who just celebrated his 102nd birthday last month. Watch as he sits down for dinner with his family. With steady hands, he pours a small glass of homemade red wine, something he's done almost every evening for the past 80 years. Wine is not something special, Giuseppe tells us through a translator, his eyes twinkling. It is just part of our meal, like bread. This presents a striking contrast to modern health advice. Many doctors and wellness experts suggest eliminating alcohol completely for optimal health and longevity. Yet here in the blue zones, places with the highest concentration of centenarians, moderate drinking is woven into daily life. In both Sardinia and Ikigai, Greece, alcohol consumption follows distinct patterns. People drink with meals and friends, never alone or to excess. Their glasses are notably small, much smaller than typical Western portions. Their approach to drinking maintains a rhythm of moderation preserved through generations. Scientific research offers some explanation. Studies suggest moderate wine consumption may provide heart benefits through compounds like resveratrol. These antioxidants potentially protect blood vessels and reduce inflammation. However, researchers increasingly recognize that the social context might matter more than the liquid itself. Giuseppe's dinner table illustrates this perfectly. 3 generations gather around, laughter filling the warm kitchen as they share their daily stories. Giuseppe pours wine for his son and daughter-in-law while his grandchildren drink water. The food and conversation take center stage, with wine serving as one element in this meaningful family ritual. We never drink alone, Giuseppe's son explains. What would be the point? Wine is for sharing stories and making everyone relaxed. For Blue Zone residents, alcohol functions primarily as a vehicle for connection. The evening glass marks the transition from work to relaxation, creating space to slow down and engage with loved ones. This pattern emerges consistently across blue zones despite their geographic and cultural differences. Across the Mediterranean in Ikigai, Greece, 99-year-old Maria embodies this same tradition with her own unique touch. Each evening, she walks to her neighbor's home where several older adults gather to share locally made wine. They sit for hours in animated conversation, tiny glasses nursed slowly throughout their time together. Nobody drinks to feel different, Maria says. We drink to feel together. This distinction carries significant weight. In many Western societies, alcohol often serves as a tool to alter emotional states, to celebrate, relax, or escape difficult feelings. Blue Zone residents, however, integrate alcohol as a simple thread in their social fabric, bringing people together daily rather than treating it as medicine or escape. Their approach includes important boundaries. Consumption typically stays limited to 1 or 2 small glasses daily, always with food to slow alcohol absorption. Wine, particularly red varieties, remains the beverage of choice rather than spirits or other alcoholic drinks. The centenarians' relationship with alcohol offers valuable insights. Their example demonstrates that moderate, social drinking can complement a healthy lifestyle when it reinforces community bonds. The critical element is the social context. Drinking occurs within connection, never in isolation. This doesn't suggest non-drinkers should start. Many healthy centenarians live long lives without alcohol. The deeper lesson may concern the power of daily rituals that consistently bring people together. As longevity researcher Dr. Emma Peterson explains, what we see in blue zones isn't about the alcohol itself. It's about creating daily moments of connection that reduce stress and build community. The wine is just the vehicle for that connection. The contrast with typical drinking habits in America and many other countries is striking. In Sardinia, drinking alone while watching television doesn't happen. Nobody drinks to cope with difficulties or to feel intoxicated. The purpose remains connection, moderation, and participation in something meaningful. So yes, Blue Zone centenarians consume alcohol regularly, but their relationship with it bears little resemblance to patterns seen in other cultures. Their approach, social, moderate, and centered on meaningful connection, may contain the actual benefit. The alcohol itself might offer some advantages, but how they use it to foster togetherness likely holds the greater secret. Giuseppe summarizes it elegantly. Good wine, good friends, good family, these make a good life. The Blue Zone drinking pattern consists of several distinctive elements, always accompanied by food, always in social settings. Small quantities, consumed slowly, primarily wine rather than spirits, integrated into daily life, focused on connection, not effects. Perhaps the most valuable insight isn't about alcohol at all, but about creating daily opportunities for meaningful connection. Blue Zone residents establish rituals that strengthen their social bonds daily. These connections form a safety net, a support system helping them navigate life's challenges together. When we observe Giuseppe's family dinner or Maria's evening gathering, we see people who never face difficulties alone. They maintain reliable support systems that appear every day. The wine represents just one component of these powerful social traditions. Now let's look at another surprising habit that might make your gym membership seem less important. Natural movement instead of gym workouts. Have you ever noticed that the oldest people in the world don't have gym memberships? It's true. In all my visits to Blue Zones, I never once saw a centenarian on a treadmill or lifting weights. Yet these same people often have the strength and mobility of someone decades younger. I'd like to introduce you to Mei from Okinawa, Japan. At 98 years old, she moves with the ease of someone much younger. Her day starts early, around 5:30 a.m., when she rolls out her sleeping mat and begins her morning routine. I watched as she got up from the floor without using her hands, a movement many younger people struggle with. Exercise? No, I don't exercise, Mei told me through a translator, looking confused at the question. I just live my normal life. This is where things get interesting. While fitness magazines and social media influencers promote intense workout plans and structured exercise routines, Blue Zone centenarians like Mei stay naturally fit without ever planning to exercise. They don't set aside time for workouts or track metrics. They simply live in ways that keep their bodies in motion. I followed Mei through her typical morning. She walked to her garden, about 400 steps from her house. There she performed a choreography of movements, bending to pull weeds, stretching to reach tall plants, squatting to inspect seedlings. Her movements flowed together like a slow, purposeful dance. She then carried a basket of vegetables home, washed them while standing, and prepared them for cooking. I get up and down from the floor at least 20 times every day, Mei explained. I sit on the floor to eat, to visit with friends, to rest, then I get up again. This simple habit maintains hip mobility, core strength, and balance, exercising dozens of muscles without feeling like exercise. Most Americans stop this practice as they age, contributing to declining mobility. After breakfast, Mei visited a friend half a mile away, carrying vegetables to share. Later, she walked to the market for fresh fish, returning with groceries in a cloth bag. Throughout the day, she swept her walkway, washed clothes by hand, and kneeled in her garden to plant seeds. By day's end, Mei had covered about 3 miles and changed positions hundreds of times, all as part of her normal routine, not planned exercise. This natural movement pattern reveals something profound about fitness and longevity. Dr. James Levine from the Mayo Clinic calls this non-exercise activity thermogenesis, or NEAT. His research suggests this continuous, gentle movement throughout the day might be more beneficial than dedicated exercise sessions. The problem with modern exercise, explains Dr. Levine, is that many people sit for 15 hours a day, then try to make up for it with 45 minutes at the gym. The body doesn't work that way. Constant, gentle movement throughout the day appears more beneficial than short bursts of activity surrounded by long periods of sitting. This pattern appears consistently across blue zone communities. Sardinian shepherds navigate rocky hillsides. Nicoyans walk to markets and social gatherings. Icarians traverse hilly terrain that would challenge many gym-goers. My daughter in the city has an exercise machine in her house, said 96-year-old Stomatis from Ikaria, laughing. She walks on it while staying in the same place. I walk to town and back. I see friends. I feel the sun. Why would I walk nowhere? This natural approach to fitness offers several advantages. No equipment costs, no extra time requirements, and varied movements rather than repetitive motions. Watching May garden is like observing a master class in functional movement. Within minutes, she transitions through positions that collectively exercise every major muscle group and joint. A skilled personal trainer would design these exact movements for clients, charging premium rates for what May does naturally. Blue Zone residents also balance movement with rest. May uses a small stool when tired, but never remains seated for extended periods. Rest is important, she told me, but not for too long. If I sit too much, my body gets stiff. Better to move a little, rest a little, move again. This creates a daily rhythm that supports healthy aging without stressing the body. The movements remain gentle enough to avoid injury, but consistent enough to maintain strength and mobility. Dan Buettner, who first identified the blue zones, says, "The world's longest-lived people don't pump iron, run marathons, or join gyms. Instead, they live in environments that constantly nudge them into moving." For people like May, movement integrates fully into everyday life. She doesn't exercise, she gardens, visits friends, prepares food, and maintains her home. The movement happens naturally through these purposeful activities. Science supports this approach. Research from a University of Sydney found that replacing sitting time with just 30 minutes of light activity daily reduced mortality risk by 17%. Another study from the American Cancer Society found that women who sit for more than 6 hours daily have a 34% higher risk of early death compared to those who sit less than 3 hours. As our day with May ended, I asked what advice she would give to someone wanting to stay healthy into old age. Move your body every day in ways that make you happy, she said simply. Don't think about exercise. Think about living. Garden if you enjoy it. Walk to visit people you love. Clean your own house. Carry your own things. Use your body the way it was meant to be used. The lesson from Blue Zones is clear. Consistent, gentle movement integrated throughout your day appears more effective for longevity than dedicated workout sessions followed by extended sitting. The world's oldest people stay naturally fit just by living in ways that require regular movement. The unexpected meal timing secret. Would you believe that eating your smallest meal at night might help you live longer? This idea completely flips how most of us eat today. Think about your typical eating pattern. Many of us grab a quick breakfast, have a moderate lunch, and then eat our biggest meal at dinner. But what if this common pattern is working against our health? I saw this surprising meal timing firsthand when I visited Nicoya, Costa Rica, one of the world's blue zones where people regularly live past 100. I spent a day with Elena, who at 101 years old still prepares most of her own meals. Her daily eating schedule shocked me because it was exactly opposite of how most Americans eat. I wake up hungry and ready to work, Elena told me as she prepared her morning meal. Why would I wait until night to eat my biggest meal when I need energy now? Elena's breakfast looked more like what many of us would consider dinner. She started her day with a large plate of black beans, freshly made corn tortillas, eggs from her chickens, fresh cheese, and several types of tropical fruits from trees around her home. This hearty morning meal provided her with steady energy for her most active hours. The kitchen filled with wonderful smells as Elena cooked. The rich aroma of black beans simmered with local herbs and spices, while the scent of corn tortillas browning on the hot wood-fired comal filled the air. I could smell the sweetness of tropical fruits as she sliced papaya and mango on her worn wooden cutting board. She moved confidently between her wood-burning stove and outdoor garden, where she picked fresh cilantro and mint, their fragrance releasing with each snip of her small garden shears. Her breakfast routine had remained essentially unchanged for almost 9 decades. This is how my grandmother ate, and her grandmother before her, Elena explained. We always eat our biggest meal in the morning. This is normal for us. By contrast, many Americans either skip breakfast or grab something quick and carbohydrate heavy. We tend to eat our largest meal in the evening when our day's activities are winding down, providing the most calories when our bodies need them least. Around 1 p.m., Elena prepared a moderate lunch. She sat on her porch with her daughter and grandson, eating a simple meal of vegetable soup, a small piece of fish, and more corn. Tortillas. The portion was noticeably smaller than her breakfast, but still substantial enough to provide energy for afternoon activities. Lunch is for family, Elena said. We talk, we rest a little, then we go back to our work with energy. This midday meal serves several purposes in Blue Zone communities. It provides sustained energy without causing the heaviness that comes with overeating. It happens with family members, supporting the important social connections that contribute to longevity. And it comes at a natural breaking point in the day, allowing for a short rest during the hottest hours. What surprised me most was Elena's dinner. Around 5:30 p.m., as the sun began to set, she prepared the smallest meal of her day. Her dinner consisted of just a small cup of herbal tea and a piece of fruit. Sometimes she might have a very small bowl of leftover soup from lunch, but never a full meal. Big food at night makes sleep bad, Elena explained simply. Why fill your stomach when you go to rest? The body needs to sleep, not work on digestion. Elena's simple explanation aligns with emerging research on meal timing. Our digestive systems process food most efficiently during daylight hours, as Dr. Satchin Panda's research on circadian rhythms shows. When we eat lightly in the evening, our bodies can focus on repair rather than digestion. I sleep like a baby, Elena told me. Many of my friends who are much younger have trouble sleeping. Maybe they should try eating less at night. Studies from the University of Pennsylvania confirm what Elena practices intuitively. Eating more calories at breakfast and fewer at dinner leads to better weight management and improved blood glucose levels, even when total daily calories remain the same. The pattern I observed with Elena matches what researchers have found across all blue zones. Emphasis on breakfast, moderate lunch often eaten with others, and very light dinner consumed at least 3 hours before bedtime. This pattern creates about 12 to 14 hours of overnight fasting, which activates beneficial cellular repair processes. This approach offers several potential longevity benefits. Better digestion. Our bodies produce more digestive enzymes during the day than at night, making morning and afternoon ideal times for larger meals. Elena rarely experiences digestive discomfort despite her age. Improved sleep quality. By eating lightly at night, the body isn't tasked with digestion during hours meant for rest. Elena enjoys deep, uninterrupted sleep that supports cellular repair and immune function. Weight management. Front-loading calories allows the body more time to use that energy rather than store it. Elena has maintained a healthy weight throughout her life without ever dieting. Alignment with circadian rhythms. Eating main meals when the sun is up keeps internal clocks properly synchronized, affecting everything from hormone release to cell repair. What's most remarkable is how this pattern remains consistent across different blue zone regions despite their cultural differences. From Japan to Greece to Costa Rica, centenarians follow similar meal timing, suggesting this might be a key factor in their exceptional longevity. The eating patterns of centenarians remind us that when we eat might be just as important as what we eat for long-term health. Their traditional wisdom, eating breakfast like a king, lunch like a prince, and dinner like a pauper, increasingly finds support in modern science. So which meal do centenarians eat the smallest, and why? Their lightest meal is consistently dinner, allowing better sleep quality and aligning food intake with the body's natural energy needs throughout the day. This simple shift away from heavy evening meals could be a powerful change for improving health. The family connection factor. What if your family relationships matter more for your lifespan than your cholesterol levels? When I visited the blue zones and met people who've lived past 100, I noticed something striking. Their family connections seemed just as important to their health as what they ate or how much they moved. I spent a week with the Mellis family in Sardinia, Italy. This remarkable family has 9 siblings who've all lived into their 90s, with several passing the 100-year mark. The Guinness World Records recognized them as the world's oldest living siblings. What makes their story even more interesting is how they live, not scattered across different cities like many modern families, but within walking distance of each other. The family patriarch, Antonio, was 103 when I visited. He lived in the family home where he was born, now with his 75-year-old daughter and her husband. His other children lived nearby, the furthest just a 10-minute walk away. Most mornings, family members would stop by for coffee before starting their day. Family is life, Antonio told me simply when I asked about their living arrangement. Why would I want to be far from my children and grandchildren? They give me reason to wake up. This living pattern stands in sharp contrast to how many families live today. In the United States and many other developed countries, adult children often move hundreds or thousands of miles away for work or other opportunities. Many older adults live alone or in age-segregated communities. Family gatherings happen on holidays rather than daily. The Mellis family eats dinner together at least 3 times each week. These meals last for hours, with multiple generations around the table. The kitchen bustles with activity, daughters stirring pots of sauce, grandchildren setting the table, Antonio uncorking wine bottles while telling stories from decades past. He sits at the head of the table, offering the first toast. Despite his age, he remains central to family decisions and celebrations. We always ask Papa's opinion, his son Gabriel explained. He has seen more than all of us combined. His wisdom guides our family. The grandchildren naturally include Antonio in their lives. They bring their homework, share stories from school, or sit beside him while he teaches them to play cards or tell stories about the past. This creates benefits for everyone. The oldest family members maintain purpose as they age. The middle generation receives practical support with childcare. The youngest generation develops close relationships with their grandparents. My grandson learns things from me that his parents don't have time to teach, Antonio said proudly. I show him how to grow tomatoes, how to make wine, how to be patient. Research increasingly supports what the Mellis family practices naturally. Studies show that strong family connections reduce levels of stress hormones like cortisol that can accelerate aging when chronically elevated. One study found that older adults who provided childcare for their grandchildren had a 37% lower mortality risk over a 20-year period compared to those who didn't. Dr. Lisa Berkman, a Harvard researcher who studies social connections and health, explains, "The evidence is extremely strong that social integration and social support protect against mortality. It's as strong as the evidence linking smoking and mortality." What makes the Blue Zone family systems particularly effective is their reliability. When Antonio had pneumonia, family members took turns staying with him, preparing special foods, and ensuring he took his medication. No formal care plan was needed. No one had to take time off work to travel across the country. The family support system activated automatically because everyone already lived close by. Of course we care for each other when sick, Antonio's daughter Maria said, looking surprised at my question about their caregiving arrangement. This is normal. This is family. This built-in care network provides both practical and emotional support during health challenges. Research shows that social isolation increases inflammation in the body and reduces immune function, both factors that can worsen health outcomes during illness. The family connections in blue zones create a protective buffer against these effects. Another striking difference is the absence of retirement homes in the areas with the most centenarians. In Sardinia, older family members remain fully integrated in family life until their final days. The idea of sending parents to live elsewhere when they get old seems very strange to us, explained Gabrielle. They are the foundation of our family. This integration benefits older adults in many ways. They maintain familiar surroundings and established relationships rather than adjusting to new environments. They continue to feel needed rather than set aside. And they receive care from people who know them intimately. The Mellis family has conflicts too. During my week with them, I witnessed passionate disagreements about everything from politics to the proper way to make pasta sauce. But these conflicts happened within a framework of deep commitment. We argue, yes, Antonio chuckled. But we argue today and eat together tomorrow. No argument is more important than family. This ability to maintain bonds despite differences also contributes to health. Research shows that chronic conflict and estrangement creates ongoing stress that can damage physical health. The blue zone approach of staying connected despite disagreements helps prevent this source of chronic stress. For many people in highly mobile societies, recreating the exact living arrangement of the Mellis family might seem impossible. Jobs, housing costs, and other factors often require families to live far apart. But the underlying principles can still be applied. Prioritizing family connections, finding ways to spend time together regularly, and including older family members in meaningful ways. Technology can help bridge physical distances. The Mellis family now uses video calls to stay connected with relatives who have moved to the mainland. Screens are good when we cannot be together, Maria told me. But nothing replaces sitting at the same table, breaking bread together, touching hands. Antonio summed it up when I asked what had helped him live so long. Every day, I see my children, I hold my grandchildren, I know I am not alone. This gives me strength. This keeps my heart young. Based on what we see in the blue zones, family connections appear essential to longevity. While modern medicine offers incredible interventions for specific diseases, finding your reason to wake up. Ikigai. What gets you out of bed each morning? For people who live to 100, the answer might surprise you. And it's not about retirement or relaxation. In fact, most centenarians never fully retire at all. When I visited Okinawa, Japan, I met Komoda, an incredible woman who had just celebrated her 103rd birthday. What struck me most wasn't her age, but her energy and clear sense of purpose. Each morning, Komoda wakes at 6 a.m. without an alarm clock. Her first activity? Tending the small but productive vegetable garden behind her house. Garden needs me, she told me through her granddaughter, who translated. If I don't water plants, who will? Plants give food. Food feeds family. This simple statement revealed something profound about how centenarians view their place in the world. While many Americans dream of retirement as a time to escape responsibilities, Komoda and other long-lived people embrace daily duties well into their second century of life. I followed Komoda through her morning routine. After gardening, she carefully washed and prepared vegetables for her great-grandchildren's lunch. Her hands, though spotted with age, moved with confidence as she chopped daikon radish and sweet potatoes. The crisp sound of her knife against the cutting board punctuated her movements as fragrant herbs released their scent. These vegetables would become part of the family meal later that day. I teach cooking to daughter and granddaughter, Komoda explained. Some recipes only I remember. If I don't teach, recipes disappear. This sense of responsibility, being the keeper of family traditions and knowledge, gives Komoda a powerful reason to wake up each day. The Japanese have a specific word for this purpose-driven approach to life. Ikigai, pronounced Ikigai, which translates roughly to your reason for being. Unlike the Western concept of pursuing happiness, Ikigai focuses on finding purpose through contribution. Komoda's granddaughter explained, grandmother's Ikigai comes from what she gives to family. She grows food we eat. She teaches us old Okinawan cooking. She tells stories from before the war that no one else remembers. Without her, these things would be lost. This perspective creates a fundamentally different approach to aging. While many older adults in Western countries struggle with feeling irrelevant after retirement, Okinawan centenarians maintain clear roles within their families and communities. Later that day, I watched as Komoda's great-grandchildren arrived home from school. They immediately went to her, showing drawings they had made and telling stories about their day. Komoda listened attentively, offering comments and advice. She was clearly a central figure in the family. Children need older wisdom, Komoda said. Parents too busy working. I have time to listen, to teach manners, to tell important stories. Her purpose-driven life reflects what research increasingly supports. Studies show that having a strong sense of purpose correlates with better health outcomes. People with higher purpose scores show lower rates of Alzheimer's disease. A study from Rush University Medical Center found that people with high purpose scores were 2.4 times less likely to develop the disease than those with low scores. When Komoda tends her garden, carefully selecting which plants need attention, she embodies the findings that purpose creates physiological benefits. Dr. Robert Butler, founder of the National Institute on Aging, found that this sense of being needed improved immune function and lowered levels of stress hormones. Another study showed people with strong purpose had a 23% reduction in death from all causes. The Blue Zone approach to purpose differs from typical life goals through its everyday nature. Purpose exists in daily contributions that benefit others, not grand accomplishments. I noticed that Komoda never mentioned her own happiness when discussing her activities. Instead, she focused entirely on what her family needed from her. While many older adults in Western countries ask themselves, "What will I do to fill time today?" Centenarians like Komoda ask, "Who needs me today?" This subtle shift makes all the difference. This sense of being needed creates gentle pressure to stay healthy. When Komoda developed arthritis in her hands several years ago, she didn't stop gardening. She modified how she worked, using different tools and taking more breaks. Pain less important than purpose, she explained simply. If I stop because of pain, who will grow special Okinawan herbs for family? Later that afternoon, I watched as Komoda taught her 12-year-old great-granddaughter how to make a traditional Okinawan soup. The steam rose as they stirred the broth, with the girl listening carefully, asking questions and following instructions. This soup recipe from my grandmother, Komoda explained. 5 generations now. When great-granddaughter teaches her children someday, that makes 6 generations. This long view of life, seeing yourself as one link in a chain that extends both backward and forward through time, creates a powerful context for purpose. Komoda's approach energizes rather than exhausts her. After a full day of activities, she remained alert and engaged. Mother always says having work to do keeps her young, her daughter explained. On days when no family visits, she has less energy. She needs to be needed. This need appears across all Blue Zone communities. In Costa Rica's Nicoya Peninsula, centenarians help with childcare and food preparation. In Sardinia, Italy, older men continue to care for animals and make wine well past 100. In no Blue Zone did I find centenarians who had fully retired from family responsibilities. The presence of purpose in centenarians' lives suggests that having meaningful responsibilities may actually be more important for longevity than freedom from obligations. It activates biological pathways that promote longevity by reducing stress, improving immune function, and providing motivation to stay active. Perhaps most importantly, Ikigai answers the fundamental question we all face as we age. Why should I take care of my health? For centenarians like Komoda, the answer is simple. Because someone needs what only you can give. The garden as a longevity tool. Could tending a small vegetable garden add years to your life? For centenarians, gardening isn't just a hobby. It's one of their most powerful health practices. After visiting Blue Zones around the world, I've seen firsthand how something as simple as growing tomatoes might be more important for longevity than many expensive health programs. When I traveled to Ikigai, Greece, an island with one of the highest concentrations of centenarians in the world, I spent several days with Slowness, a 99-year-old man who lives on a steep hillside overlooking the Aegean Sea. Every morning, Stomatis wakes with the sun and heads straight to his garden. A terraced plot that grows everything from tomatoes and zucchini to herbs and fruit trees. "Garden is my doctor," Stomatis told me with a smile, his sun-weathered hands gently tying up a tomato plant. "I take care of garden. Garden takes care of me." What makes Stomatis' simple statement so interesting is how it challenges our modern approach to health. Think about how we typically address wellness today. We have separate programs for exercise, special diets for nutrition, meditation apps for stress relief, and social activities for connection. We treat each aspect of health as a separate category requiring different solutions. But in blue zones like Ikigai, centenarians combine all these health elements through one simple activity: gardening. This natural integration might explain why gardening appears again and again in the daily routines of the world's longest-lived people. I spent one full morning watching Stomatis in his garden. His movements flowed like a natural orchestra, squatting to pull weeds, stretching overhead to pick fruit, carrying watering cans, and walking up and down terraced hills. His fingers pressed into the rich soil, connecting him to the earth as he gently supported delicate plants. Each movement served a purpose in this symphony of cultivation, providing a complete range of motion that would make a physical therapist smile. None of this felt like exercise to Stomatis. When I asked about staying physically active, he looked confused. "I don't exercise," he said. "I just tend my garden." This natural movement happens almost daily throughout the year. Unlike gym workouts that people often abandon after a few weeks, gardening creates a commitment that spans seasons. Plants need regular care, creating a gentle pressure to keep moving even on days when motivation might be low. The benefits extend far beyond physical movement. Stomatis' garden provides much of the food he eats daily. During my visit, he picked tomatoes, cucumbers, onions, and a handful of fresh herbs for our lunch. His wife added olive oil from their own trees and bread made with local grain. The resulting meal contained vegetables that had been growing just hours earlier. "Store vegetables travel too far," Stomatis explained. "Lose goodness on the journey. Garden vegetables still alive with energy when we eat them." His intuitive understanding matches what nutritional science now confirms. Fruits and vegetables begin losing nutrients from the moment they're harvested. Home gardens provide fresher, more nutritious food without pesticides and chemical fertilizers used in commercial farming. The variety in Stomatis' garden ensures he consumes a diverse range of plant nutrients. I counted over 15 different vegetables, herbs, and fruits growing in his modest plot, creating a natural diversity that many nutritionists recommend, but that can be difficult to maintain when relying solely on grocery shopping. Beyond these tangible benefits, I noticed something else as Stomatis worked: a sense of calm contentment. Gardening connected him to natural cycles of growth, weather patterns, and seasons in a way that seemed deeply grounding. "Garden teaches patience," he said, showing me tiny melon seedlings he had just planted. "Cannot rush plant to grow faster. Must wait. Must work with nature's time, not human time." This connection to natural rhythms provides a powerful antidote to the rushed pace of modern life. Research shows this nature connection reduces stress hormones like cortisol that, when chronically elevated, can accelerate aging processes in the body. Scientists have even identified beneficial microbes in soil that may boost mood and immunity. These microorganisms, which gardeners contact through their hands and through breathing air around freshly turned soil, may help explain why gardening seems to have psychological benefits. The social aspects of gardening are equally important. One morning, I watched as neighbors exchanged Stomatis' garden produce for homemade goat cheese. "We share," Stomatis explained simply. "She has goats. I have garden. Why would each try to do everything alone?" This pattern appears consistently across blue zones. Gardens become natural points of connection, strengthening community bonds while ensuring that a diverse range of fresh foods circulates throughout the neighborhood. Research supports what blue zone centenarians practice naturally. Studies have found that gardening reduces stress hormone levels after just 30 minutes, improves bone density, and may even reduce the risk of dementia by 36%, likely due to the combination of physical activity, problem solving, sensory stimulation, and learning that gardening naturally provides. For those without access to large outdoor spaces, even small container gardens on balconies or windowsills can provide many benefits. Growing herbs in kitchen pots or joining community gardens offers alternatives for urban dwellers. The key is regular interaction with growing plants. Gardening combines movement, nutrition, stress reduction, and purpose in one seamless activity. Instead of trying to fit separate health practices into busy schedules, it integrates them naturally into an enjoyable daily rhythm that keeps the body active, the diet fresh, the mind engaged, and the spirit connected to both nature and community. As Stamatis told me on my last day in Ikigai, young people today always looking for new health secrets. But sometimes oldest secrets are best secrets. My grandfather gardened until he was 102. I plan to do the same. Simple foods over superfoods. What if the secret to living to 100 isn't found in expensive superfoods, but in the simplest meals your grandmother might have made? After spending time with centenarians in blue zones around the world, I noticed something surprising about their diets. They don't eat exotic berries, special protein powders, or the latest trendy health foods. Instead, they eat remarkably simple meals that would look familiar to their ancestors from generations ago. I spent a week in Nicoya, Costa Rica with Maria, a 97-year-old woman who still cooks 3 meals a day in her small outdoor kitchen. Each morning, Maria wakes up at 5 a.m. and starts a wood fire in her simple cooking area. The crackle of burning wood and the earthy aroma of smoke fill the air as she prepares her day's meals. Her kitchen contains just a few basic tools, some metal pots, wooden spoons, and a grinding stone for corn that her grandmother used before her. The stone makes a rhythmic scraping sound as she works the corn into masa. "My food is nothing special," Maria told me as she patted corn dough into perfect circles for tortillas. "Just normal food that my family has always eaten. Nothing has changed." This comment struck me because it points to something important about centenarian diets. While many of us constantly change what we eat based on the latest health trends, the longest-lived people maintain incredible consistency in their diets. Maria eats essentially the same foods today that she ate as a child 90 years ago. I watched as Maria prepared her typical lunch, a simple pot of black beans that had soaked overnight, fresh corn tortillas, small pieces of squash from her garden, and a sprinkle of fresh herbs. The entire meal cost less than $1 but provided complete nutrition with an ideal balance of protein, complex carbohydrates, and vegetables. "Beans give strength," Maria explained simply. "My father ate beans every day and worked until he was 102. My children and grandchildren still eat these same beans." This focus on beans appears across all blue zone regions despite their different cultures. In Ikigai, Greece, centenarians eat white beans and chickpeas. In Sardinia, Italy, they prefer fava beans. In Okinawa, Japan, soybeans form the foundation of the traditional diet. Beans provide an ideal combination of protein and fiber while remaining low in fat. They contain resistant starch that feeds beneficial gut bacteria and create meals that satisfy hunger without providing excess calories. The way Maria prepares her beans matters too. She soaks them overnight, which reduces compounds that can cause digestive discomfort. She cooks them slowly with just a few basic seasonings, onions, garlic, and local herbs. The beans become the central part of the meal that everyone recognizes and appreciates. Another pattern in Maria's kitchen is the plant slant of her meals. While she does eat meat, it appears in small amounts as a side dish or flavoring rather than as the main course. During my week with her family, they prepared chicken once, but the pieces were small and served alongside plenty of vegetables and beans. "Meat is for special days," Maria explained. "Too expensive and heavy for every day. A little meat gives flavor, but plants give life." This approach to meat as a garnish rather than a centerpiece appears across all blue zone regions. The pattern creates naturally plant-centered diets without requiring strict vegetarian rules. The simplicity of blue zone meals also stands out. Maria's typical meals contain just a few ingredients. Breakfast might be corn tortillas with beans and fruit. Lunch could be a vegetable soup with a small piece of cheese. Dinner often looks similar to lunch, but in smaller portions. The cooking techniques have remained unchanged for generations because they work well with the available ingredients. Scientists studying Blue Zone nutrition have found that these traditional diets naturally provide several key benefits. They're extremely high in fiber, often containing more than 30 grams daily compared to the 15 grams average Americans consume. This fiber feeds beneficial gut bacteria that may help reduce inflammation. These diets also provide moderate protein primarily from plants rather than high animal protein. Research suggests that moderate plant protein intake may activate longevity pathways in the body. Blue Zone diets contain very little added sugar or refined carbohydrates. Maria sweetens foods with small amounts of local honey or fruit. The carbohydrates come from whole foods like corn, beans, and squash rather than refined flours. Maria's small garden contains rosemary, oregano, cilantro, and other herbs that she adds generously to most meals. Herbs keep sickness away, Maria told me as she picked fresh cilantro, its distinctive scent filling the air. My mother taught me which herbs to use when someone has a cold, which for digestion, which for strength. Different herbs for different needs. This generational wisdom about the medicinal properties of culinary herbs creates layers of benefit. Many traditional herbs contain powerful anti-inflammatory compounds that may help prevent chronic diseases. A basic pot of beans becomes more powerful when seasoned with these herbs. What struck me most about Maria's approach was the complete absence of stress around eating. She doesn't count calories or measure portions. She simply prepares fresh, whole foods in traditional ways and enjoys them with her family. Good food, good company, good life, she said with a smile as her children and grandchildren gathered around her table for lunch. Nothing complicated about it. The eating patterns of the world's oldest people challenge our modern approach to nutrition. While we often search for the newest ingredients, centenarians show us that basic, affordable foods prepared in traditional ways may be more powerful than trendy superfoods, beans, whole grains, garden vegetables, and abundant herbs and spices that have sustained human health for centuries. This doesn't mean we need to eat exactly like Maria to be healthy. But her example shows us that good nutrition doesn't need to be complicated or expensive. The foundations of healthy eating remain remarkably simple. Whole foods, mostly plants, prepared with care and shared with others. The power of community connection. What if your social circle influences your health more than your doctor? It sounds strange, but after visiting blue zones around the world, I've seen how the people you spend time with might matter more for your longevity than medical care. The oldest people in the world show us that deep friendships might be as powerful as any medicine. In Okinawa, Japan, I witnessed something special. They call it moi, which means a group of people who commit to each other for life. These aren't casual friendships that come and go. These are deep bonds that last for decades. I spent time with Motsu, a 97-year-old Okinawan woman who has been meeting with the same group of 5 women since they were in their 30s. That's over 60 years of friendship. They gather every Wednesday afternoon at a small community center near their homes. They prepare tea, arrange simple snacks, and settle into their regular seats, the same positions they've taken for decades. We know everything about each other, Motsu told me, smiling at her friends. No secrets here. When something good happens, we celebrate together. When something bad happens, we cry together. This level of connection stands in sharp contrast to how many people age in Western countries. Studies show that as we get older in places like the United States, our social circles often shrink. After retirement, many older adults lose daily contact with coworkers. Children move away. Friends pass away. The result: many seniors find themselves increasingly isolated. But in blue zones like Okinawa, the pattern looks completely different. Instead of growing more isolated with age, centenarians remain deeply embedded in social networks that provide both practical and emotional support. My moai knows when I am sick before my children do, Motsu explained. They check on me every day. If I don't answer my door, They will come inside to make sure I am okay. During my visit, one member of the group was recovering from a minor fall. The others had organized a schedule to bring her meals, help with housework, and provide company throughout the day. This was simply what they had always done for each other. What makes these blue zone friendships different from casual social connections? First, there's the incredible longevity of the relationships. Motsu's moai has been meeting weekly for over 6 decades. They've supported each other through marriages, births, career changes, illnesses, and the deaths of spouses. Second, these friendships involve frequent, regular contact, not just occasional get-togethers. Motsu sees her moai friends at least twice weekly, sometimes more often. This creates a reliable rhythm of connection that both parties can count on. Third, these relationships involve both practical and emotional support. Blue Zone friends show up with food, help with transportation, and provide hands-on assistance during difficult times. We know each other better than we know ourselves sometimes, said Hannah, another member of the group. If I say I am fine but look tired, they will say, "No, you are not fine. Tell us what's wrong." We cannot hide from each other. This level of honest connection may help explain why these friendships have such powerful health effects. Research shows that strong social connections influence our bodies in measurable ways. People with strong social ties have lower levels of inflammation, better immune function, and less chronic stress, all factors that affect how quickly or slowly we age. Dr. Robert Waldinger, who directs the world's longest study on adult life and happiness, explains, "Good relationships don't just protect our bodies, they protect our brains." People who are in relationships where they feel they can count on the other person have memories that stay sharper longer. These benefits become especially important during health challenges. When Motsu developed high blood pressure a few years ago, her moai members checked daily to ensure she took her medication. They walked with her to doctor appointments, asked questions she might have forgotten to ask, and helped her follow her doctor's advice about diet changes. "Without my friends, maybe I would not take medicine correctly," Motsu admitted. "Sometimes I forget, but they remember for me." This informal care network operates without the scheduling, paperwork, and expense that accompanies formal healthcare. It activates automatically when needed, providing immediate support during times of vulnerability. Beyond practical support, these deep friendships may also influence health behaviors. Blue Zone social groups often share similar values about eating, physical activity, and other lifestyle choices. This creates a form of positive peer pressure that makes healthy choices easier to maintain. During my visit with Motsu's moai, I noticed they all brought similar foods to share: simple vegetables, a little fish, green tea. When I asked about this, they seemed surprised by the question. "We all eat the Okinawan way," one woman explained. "Always vegetables first, small fish sometimes, always tea. This is normal for us." The same pattern applies to physical activity. Motsu and her friends walk together 3 mornings each week. The walk happens automatically because the group expects it. "Walking alone is boring," Motsu told me. "Walking with friends, we talk, we see interesting things, we tell each other about them. 1 hour passes quickly." What can we learn from these Blue Zone friendship patterns? The social practices of centenarians reveal that maintaining deep, long-term friendships might be as important for health as diet and exercise. These connections provide emotional support, practical help during illness, and an environment that makes healthy choices easier. For those of us living in countries where social isolation has become common, especially as we age, the Blue Zone example offers important lessons. Building and maintaining strong friendships throughout life may be a critical factor in how well and how long we live. The most powerful social practices in Blue Zones include regular, in-person connection with the same group of people over many years. These friendships create a social safety net that catches people when they stumble and gives them a reason to prioritize their health. As Motsu told me on my last day with her group, good friends make a good life. With the wisdom of slowness. What if rushing through life actually shortens it? I noticed something fascinating about the way centenarians live their days. They move slower than most of us. They rest more. They pay attention to natural rhythms. And they live longer because of it. I spent a week in Ikigai, Greece, following 101-year-old Thea through her daily routine. What stood out most wasn't what she did, but how she did it, with a natural, unhurried pace that felt almost out of place in our modern world. Thea's day begins without an alarm clock. She wakes when sunlight filters through her bedroom window, usually around 6:30 a.m. Unlike our typical morning scramble, checking emails before our feet hit the floor, Thea embraces a gentle awakening. Morning is for waking slowly, Thea told me through her granddaughter who translated. Body needs time to remember it is alive for another day. After rising, Thea sits by her window for about 20 minutes. Sometimes she prays. Sometimes she simply watches birds in the olive tree outside. Her face remains peaceful, her breathing steady. This quiet time isn't formal meditation as many Westerners practice it, but it serves the same purpose, centering her mind before the day begins. I asked her granddaughter if Thea always takes this quiet time in the morning. Every day since I can remember, she answered. Even when she was younger and had more work to do, she never started her day in a rush. After her quiet time, Thea moves to her small kitchen to prepare a simple breakfast. She moves with purpose but never with rush. Each action flows naturally into the next. Cutting bread, brewing Greek coffee, arranging a few olives on a plate. While many of us gulp down breakfast like a pit stop at a race, Thea treats this morning ritual like a gentle conversation with the day ahead. Food made in a hurry tastes like hurry, Thea said as she sipped her coffee. Food made with time tastes like life. This unhurried approach extends to everything she does. When she swept her front porch, she gave the task her full attention. When she watered her potted herbs, she treated each plant individually. Around 11:30 a.m., Thea walked to visit her friend in a nearby house. The walk would take most adults perhaps 5 minutes. For Thea, it took 15. She wasn't struggling to walk or moving slowly due to limitations. She simply took her time, noticing things along the way: a lizard sunning on a stone wall, a fig tree with ripening fruit, a neighbor working in his garden whom she greeted by name. Walking fast gets you somewhere, she explained when I asked about her pace. Walking slowly lets you see where you are. As midday approaches, Thea's energy naturally ebbs with the rising heat, in perfect harmony with her environment. Around 1:30 p.m., she returned home, closed her shutters, and lay down for a nap. This wasn't an occasional indulgence. It was a daily practice shared by nearly everyone in her village. The afternoon nap or siesta tradition exists throughout the Mediterranean, but seems especially prominent in blue zone communities. In Ikigai, shops close, streets empty, and even younger people pause their work for this daily rest period. Research supports this practice. A large study published in the Archives of Internal Medicine found that people who took regular afternoon naps had a 37% lower risk of dying from heart disease compared to those who didn't nap. The researchers believed this rest period helps reduce stress hormones that can damage the cardiovascular system when chronically elevated. When Thea woke from her nap around 2:30 p.m., she seemed refreshed in a way that caffeine never achieves. Her eyes were clear, her movements easy. While many of us power through afternoon fatigue with more coffee and willpower, Thea respects her body's natural rhythms. Rest is not laziness, her granddaughter explained. My grandmother says rest is how the body heals itself during the day. Without rest, we break down faster. I noticed another striking difference about Thea's daily rhythm. She didn't wear a watch. Neither did most older people in her village. When I asked how she knew when to eat lunch or take a nap, she looked puzzled by the question. My body tells me, she said simply. When I feel hungry, I eat. When I feel tired, I rest. Why do I need a clock to tell me what my body already knows? This natural approach extends to meals as well. Each meal lasted at least 45 minutes, often longer when shared with others. She chewed slowly, put her fork down between bites, and talked between mouthfuls. This unhurried eating style allows the body to properly register fullness signals and improves digestion. Throughout the day, I never once heard Thea use phrases like, "hurry up," or "I don't have time." Time seemed to expand to fit what needed to be done rather than activities being compressed to fit available time. Like a river flowing around rocks rather than crashing against them. As darkness fell around 8:30 p.m., Thea began preparing for sleep. She washed dishes, then sat outside watching the stars come out. By 9:30, she was ready for bed, following the natural cycle of daylight rather than extending activity with artificial light. "Sleep comes when it's called gently," she explained. "If you run all day, sleep runs from you at night." The relaxed pace of centenarians reveals something important. Slowing down and avoiding chronic rush may protect against the stress that accelerates aging. Their daily rhythms follow natural patterns that many of us have abandoned in our 24/7 connected world. For those of us juggling demanding jobs, family responsibilities, and digital bombardment, Thea's approach might seem impossibly distant. Yet even small shifts toward natural rhythms, a proper lunch break, a short afternoon rest, a technology-free evening wind down, could help our bodies recover from modern stress. Perhaps the most powerful lesson from Blue Zone centenarians isn't about specific foods or exercises, but about a fundamentally different relationship with time. They live in natural time rather than clock time. They move at human speed rather than digital speed. And their bodies seem to thank them for it with extra years of healthy life. Spiritual practice and faith community. Could your spiritual beliefs add years to your life? After visiting Blue Zones around the world, I've noticed something interesting. The oldest people often have strong spiritual practices. Their faith seems to support their health just as much as their diet or exercise habits. I traveled to Loma Linda, California, the only Blue Zone in America, to visit Ruth, a 98-year-old member of the Seventh-day Adventist community. This small city about an hour east of Los Angeles has a concentration of people who live much longer than average Americans. Many reach 100 years and beyond while maintaining good health. Early Saturday morning, I joined Ruth as she prepared for her weekly church service. She moved with purpose around her modest home, putting on a simple blue dress she had laid out the night before. This ritual has been part of her life for over 90 years. "My parents first took me when I was a little girl," Ruth told me as she pinned a small brooch to her collar. "Now I've outlived 3 pastors. The faces change, but worship remains my anchor." I walked with Ruth the 4 blocks to her church, a journey she makes every week without fail. She greeted nearly everyone we passed by name. Most were fellow church members she would see again in just a few minutes, but the brief sidewalk connections clearly mattered to her. "Church extends beyond the building," she explained. "It's the whole community, everywhere we go." This comment highlighted something I've seen across all Blue Zones. For centenarians, spiritual practice integrates seamlessly with daily life, creating a framework that gives meaning to both joys and hardships. During the 2-hour service, Ruth sang from memory, listened intently to the sermon, and chatted warmly with others. Her participation reflected genuine spiritual engagement that researchers now connect to longevity. This weekly practice combines social connection with people sharing Ruth's values, creates meaningful structure in her week, and includes activities like prayer and singing that reduce stress hormones. "Saturday is different from all other days," Ruth explained afterward. "It's our Sabbath, a full day of rest. No work, no worry, no rushing. Just worship, family time, and being in nature." This concept of a dedicated rest day appears in several Blue Zone regions, though specific traditions vary. The Seventh-day Adventists observe their Sabbath from Friday sunset to Saturday sunset, setting aside work, avoiding media, and focusing on spiritual renewal and family connection. Ruth's women's prayer group has met weekly for decades. Among these women, I learned that those who attend religious services more than once weekly show a 33% lower mortality risk over time, according to a JAMA internal medicine study. This regular attendance correlates with 7 to 14 additional years of life expectancy across different faiths. People ask me how I've lived so long, Ruth said as we walked slowly among the trees in a nearby nature preserve after a family meal. I tell them God gives each day as a gift. My job is to receive it with thanks and use it to help others. This perspective creates a different relationship with aging. Rather than trying to extend her life, Ruth concentrates on living each day well, guided by spiritual principles that have remained constant throughout her years. Scientists are discovering several pathways that might explain spirituality's health benefits. Prayer and meditation activate the parasympathetic nervous system, reducing chronic inflammation linked to age-related diseases. Religious communities often promote healthy behaviors while discouraging harmful ones. Our Adventist beliefs teach us to care for our bodies as gifts from God, Ruth explained. That's why most of us are vegetarian, avoid alcohol and tobacco, and prioritize regular exercise and rest. Perhaps most significantly, faith communities provide practical support during challenging times. When Ruth broke her hip 5 years ago, her church organized meals, housework help, and transportation to medical appointments for months during her recovery. I was never alone, Ruth recalled. Someone from church checked on me every day. They brought food, prayed with me, made me laugh when I felt discouraged. That kind of care is immeasurable. This support system reduces health impacts during life's challenges. People who feel supported during difficult times demonstrate better immune function and recover more quickly from illness and injury. Ruth's daily spiritual practices extend beyond church services. She begins each morning with prayer and Bible reading, creating moments of pause throughout her day. This habit may explain why spirituality protects brain health. Columbia University researchers found that people who rated religion or spirituality as highly important had a 90% reduction in Alzheimer's risk, potentially by building cognitive reserve and reducing brain-damaging stress. My morning prayer time centers me, Ruth said. It reminds me who I am and what matters most. The day flows better when I start it with God. What distinguishes Ruth's spiritual life is its consistency. Her practice forms the foundation of her schedule and habits, creating a steady rhythm that has supported her through nearly a century. Faith isn't something you do, she told me as we said goodbye. It's something you live. Every day, in everything. Based on what I've observed in blue zones worldwide, spiritual practice appears to be a core pillar of exceptional longevity. Most centenarians belong to faith traditions and attend religious services regularly, suggesting spiritual well-being may be fundamental to physical longevity. While research continues exploring exactly how faith influences health, the pattern remains clear across cultures and continents. Those who maintain spiritual practices throughout life, particularly within supportive communities, develop resilience that contributes to longer, healthier lives. After spending time with centenarians in blue zones, I've learned their secret isn't complicated health rules. They simply live in ways that naturally support well-being. These 7 habits blend together into a complete lifestyle, creating a harmonious pattern where daily activities support both physical health and emotional connections. The beauty of this approach is how it brings joy every day, not just longevity. What part of your life could become more blue zone inspired? Perhaps a shared meal that strengthens bonds, or a small garden that feeds both body and soul. These simple shifts might seem small, but like seeds,